Hello and welcome to the Illuminating Crossroads community. My name is Lisette, and today we're going to be doing a little energetic check-in, but also tuning into the energies of summer solstice. So summer solstice is on June 20th, which is Friday, and this will be timeless, so maybe you'll be going through a summer season whenever you happen to watch it, if you're not watching at the time that I am speaking towards specifically. So always just check in with yourself and seeing if this resonance is meant for you. So I did go ahead and pull a few cards out already, and I was really feeling called to the archetype cards by Carolyn Miss. So it was interesting because the first card that came out, which is funny, I thought I removed all of these cards, but essentially they're blank, so you can put your own archetypes on them. And then the next card that came out is the Avenger card, and I'm so sorry if it doesn't focus fully. um, and then we had the Healer card here. So this I thought was really kind of symbolic towards, especially just thinking of everything that we have going on in the world right now, and where we kind of are resting within ourselves. There's a lot of planetary transits, or really stories that have been building honestly for a very long time, and it's almost as if now we're kind of in I don't want to say the storm, because I'm more so getting of this essence of the ocean. So we are in this sea of currents, if you will, and with this blank archetype card coming out first, I think that this is really a time that we're kind of inviting ourselves to see, do we want to choose to embody new archetypes? And I think this is really potent and powerful, honestly, in thinking of the energy that we're working with Saturn and Aries, although it will be stationing retrograde on July 12th, and it's going to dip back into Pisces. And then I believe February of next year, I think the 13th, is when it will move back into Aries. So we're kind of getting this little taste of thinking maybe more in an esoteric lens, if you will, like Aries being the initiator of the mind, and Aries is ruled by Mercury when you look at esoteric astrology, and this is kind of setting up the foundational almost a foundational vehicle of the mind for how we want to step into this next season, not just with Saturn and Aries, but Neptune being Aries, Uranus going to be moving into Gemini. So we're having a lot of these so we're having cardinal and mutable energy, and also these masculine essences too, and not just masculine but more yang, more action oriented. So we have, I feel, been in the collective a little bit more towards honoring the quality of life that is yin. And this is not to say that yin essence is going away, but it's well, how are we adding in intentional action now as we still allow ourselves to deeply rest, to restore, but to stay honestly regulated within our ecosystem of our existence, to where we're not just getting so swept away with these currents that we've been forgetting, or that we forget all of the effort that has been put in for how far one has come. So in saying that, we'll move to the Avenger card here. So for light attributes, it says desire to balance the scales of justice, righteousness on behalf of society or oneself. And then the shadow attribute states resorting to violence in the name of a cause. So this being an archetype coming out, it's really important that, like, especially if there is a lot that's happening really, really close within your community, your vicinity, although, yes, there's so much happening at a collective scale, but kind of just zooming in a little bit to your personal circle, how are the actions that you're taking or the things that you're choosing to do, is it in the name of, like, justice and balance and honestly peace, or are there these essences that are like desiring, like, almost like I'm hearing like an eye for an eye type deal? And it's really important to think about this because the next card that came out is the healer, and it states for the light attributes passion to serve others by repairing the body, mind, and spirit, ability to help transform pain into healing. And then the shadow attribute states taking advantage of those who need help, failing to care for oneself. So when we think about this essence of justice, of righteousness, of fairness, really, we kind of are invited with all of these energies that are happening, and especially if you're finding that this time is very challenging and very painful. I think that's the key word, like, or phrase really in this healer card of the ability to help transform pain into healing. There's this reminder as we're preparing to move into this summer season where, the heat is growing, and the heat is growing in many different ways, to where also thinking about the friction too, since we're going to be experiencing quite a bit of retrograde, stepping into retrograde season, and also when we like move into eclipse season. So it's kind of, all of these things are a little bit foreshadowing, right? But if we're allowing ourselves to be really reflective on all of the things that we have experienced in the past few years, and also reflecting in a way that doesn't just sweep you into reliving those emotional experiences, but to really just simply be the observer, to not judge or attach or grip too tightly to the reflection or observation, but to do so in a way that is bringing greater awareness of, like, hey, how have these moments in my life that have caused great pain, how have, since I've moved through maybe some of those things, and now maybe I'm on the other side of some of these things, even though there are more of these things that are arising to the surface that might be a bit challenging or harsh, how can I resource the healing from those past experiences to provide healing now, to provide a strong foundation of remembering, like, I don't want to say that, like, how do I want to say it? Remembering all that has been cultivated that is continuing to grow within strength. And this is really pointing towards too, like, how have we been continuing to honor this I don't want to say innate inner strength, but yes, these spaces that we can forget how strong we are, and then that essence of hopelessness comes about, and it's about remembering this essence of balancing. And in those moments when things feel very heavy, inviting yourself to know that it's okay to rest, it's okay to pause, but remembering to not stay paused forever, because in that moment, if you're choosing to stay paused or to take action in a way that is in this Avenger archetype essence, that it can end up causing greater harm. And this is asking, like, how, or not asking, but inviting and kind of giving thought towards, like, how are you caring for yourself at this time in a way that allows you to be able to expand and to care for your community, your loved ones, your, like, your partner, your kids, your brothers, your sisters, what have you. So we're gonna pull a couple of tarot cards just to see if there's any expanded messages. And I do just kind of want to state that as we are moving into the summer season, we're also moving into Cancer season. So Cancer season is a time where we are kind of taking this moment to really I don't want to say reflect, but really allow ourselves to bask into that which nourishes us deeply. And in an esoteric lens of astrology, Cancer is this point where, like, spirit and matter are coming together. And Cancer is an initiating force as well. So we already have some of the energies of Aries, which is initiating with fire. So we're thinking of spirit. And then we have Cancer initiating these areas of our life that are actually pouring, like, the water of life into our existence. So this is also a great time in just thinking of the archetype card that was blank, of, like, what is the archetype that you want to embody during this next season. And if you aren't sure what it is, or if it hasn't arrived to you yet, knowing that there's no rush, because it will come to you, and just staying within this state of balance within your body and your heart and your mind. Yeah, okay. So let's see. Okay, so we have the Knight of Wands, the Page of Swords, and then we have the Ten of Wands that came out. So, and then I'm going to take this card. So we have the Tower, and it's in reverse. So with the Knight of Wands card coming out, this is showing, like, beep. This card is showing, like, how are you allowing, thinking of those that desire to balance the scales of justice, right? And that doesn't have to be in a huge desire to have, how do I want to say? It doesn't have to be a very grand balancing or a grand desire, right? So also, for whatever reason, I'm feeling called to say, like, being sure that you're not feeling shame or guilt too if your capacity to pour into, like, let's say, specific social change, for example, if you're not at a place where you can fully do that emotionally without getting fully charged and maybe leaning into this essence of anger or violence, really honoring, like, it's okay if you're trying to figure out how you want to navigate how you're expressing or adding to the collective that is pouring into initiating greater waves of social change. But this is, the Knight of Wands is really asking, like, how are your desires, though, giving life to your actions. And with the Page of Swords, there's this invitation to see, like, what are new thoughts and new ideas or new ways or like specifically even thinking of new ways of speaking and expressing, and I'm really thinking of like creatively, right? And creativity can be in many realms. Our whole life is a creative um, experience or cultivation, if you will. So, and with these, like, allowing for, especially because the birds in the Page of Swords card is sticking out, um, with allowing for different levels of perspective and to really honor, thinking back to when we were saying reflecting from the past pains that have you've moved through, that have been healed, and getting these different perceptions. How can you invite this experience of coming into a more um, I don't want to say youthful perspective to view what you may be moving through, but kind of this innocent, a bit of innocence, right? Because then it allows for also a bit more curiosity in how to move through and navigate through different things. And it also invites a little bit of playfulness too, because there can be this heavy burden or this heavy weight, especially thinking of the Ten of Wands, that is still being carried, and it's like you can't really fully bring about something that is new, thinking of a new cycle, since this is a 10, and normally thinking that, you know, we want to close something out. And this is very much like what this year is kind of about, right? So it's 2025, if you're watching this in 2025, and it's like 9 is the completion, right? But it's also the time where we're sharing all that we've gathered along our journey, as well, and like holding that light for another, thinking of the Hermit card. So, and Mars, which is also really beautiful because Mars just moved into Virgo, and Virgo is the essence of that Hermit card. So now it's like, where are we taking action in a way that is like there's organization, there's a system, there is a structure, and even if there isn't fully, there's at least a molding for it to begin to take deeper form, even though you may not know what it fully looks like. And then with the Tower card coming out, this is really showing that, especially since it's in reverse, so I'm just gonna turn it up right so you get that perspective. There, like, how do I want to say, so because I'm really focusing on the little lightning bolt and there may be this I don't know if thread is the correct word, but there may just be this component that it's existing within your reality that is still being clinged onto or held onto, and maybe like it could be a very internal thing, like it could also be very subconscious is what I'm kind of like feeling. So it's like, if you've been wanting things to shift and to change, it is requiring this, like, coming into sitting with yourself and your desires and allowing for a little bit more curiosity to invite expansion in a new way, because it's something that isn't fully seen yet when we come back to this archetype card that has no archetype. So it's like you can't fully like step into it quite yet because it's still being molded, and knowing that's okay. But allowing the things that are wanting to step away from your life, or allowing the things that are wanting to come into your life to do so. So really tuning in to, like, let me see. I'm gonna pull a card because I'm like, I want to see if that. Okay, yes. So I was gonna say, like, really tuning in, like to the body, but I'm also thinking of like so the Nine of Cups came out. So I'm just thinking of like the emotional charges that can take place like when things are happening. And I guess when I say emotional charges, um, I'm just kind of thinking of like when you get good news, or if there's something that you've been waiting to hear about and you're really excited, right? That charge, that again, that initiating force, and what it awakens within you. Or like when maybe if somebody asks you to do something and you don't feel that like uplifting charge, and maybe you feel really heavy and dense, and that is your body giving you information, and really tuning in as we prepare to step into Cancer season, into the summer season, to invite this deeper connection with that intuition of your body, of your sacred vessel, your temple, to give you insight for what it is that you're moving to, that's ahead, that isn't quite yet solidified for you to embody quite yet, if you are feeling resonant with this space. And this is also showing like there is this liminal space, because there's something that is still needing to just to fall away. And since there is like the Page of Swords, it could be maybe like a belief that you've carried since childhood. It could be especially thinking, yeah, of the Ten of Wands, and I am feeling this like this youthful energy, and the wind just picked up too, so that could be something to maybe explore a little bit as well, of like what is it that may be still being held on to from a younger version of yourself, or a desire of the younger version of yourself that is wanting to come through and share that and even give you wisdom. So that might be supportive. And then we're just gonna see if there's any messages from like star ancestors, if you will, or any beings of light who want to share anything for the highest and greatest good. And I will say there is a lot of like blue in the cards, like a sky blue. So if you live in an area where it is sunny and clear skies, or even if you can at least see the blue sky, it might be really nourishing to just take a moment to sit outside and to gaze up at the sky, and to just be present, to feel the wind as it like touches your skin, to let the sun kiss your skin as well, and to just see like what is present when there's nothing, like you're not doing anything, there's no immediate need to do anything. And if you feel like antsy and you can't allow yourself to just be still, well, like what is that why? And can you invite yourself to maybe breathe through that, so you can like take longer exhales, so you can just ground a bit more and see like what arises after you cross that threshold. So hopefully that is supportive. Okay, and then we'll just get one more card. All right. Okay, so the card that came out is Fall into My Arms, Surrender, Holding the Opposites, Extremes of Life. Like, doop. And then we have Loosen Your Grip. Deep. I don't know why I'm doing sound effects, but I'm here for it. Hopefully you are too. And then Lifting the Veil, Question Everything, Anything Unaligned Must Go. Okay, so the Fall into My Arms, I always love this card because it has these like this photos at the top of the corner that look like grandmother spirits. And then I don't know if you can tell, because I'm so sorry if it is blurry, but then there's all these spirits around the water. And then there's the person in the water, and it's holding another person. And it's so interesting. I've actually never noticed that, like, to me, it almost looks like a little, like a oyster shell. And then it looks like it's a woman. And I don't know why, for some reason, to me, it looks like the woman is holding, like, a man. Or it could be a child. I'm not sure. But this is kind of just showing, like, especially at this time, if you are having a lot of challenging moments of, like, calling on the wisdom and the love of all of those who have, like, walked this path before you. And it could be your direct bloodline, your ancestors, or your star connections if you resonate with that. But it could also just be, like, that essence of, like, I don't know how to, like, put it into words, but of literally of all of those who have walked before you, and feeling this permission to allow yourself to soften and to know, like, you know, all of those other beautiful souls have, like, walked their own unique path here on this planet, and they're like they have also experienced their moments of challenge and of growth, of healing, of peace in some way or capacity, and just coming back to this neutral point that it doesn't mean that you're detaching from everything or not allowing yourself to feel or to be present, but it's just inviting you to be in the middle of the extremes, and to, I guess, kind of in that essence of, like, coming towards a deeper understanding of what it means to, like, walk the middle path, if that resonates with you. And if that doesn't make sense, then that's okay. But yeah, and then loosening your grip. So to me, this is really speaking towards that essence of control and allowing for more faith, more trust, and, like, knowing that, like, maybe it's time to let go of some of the and I'm really hearing, like, it's like I'm feeling like in the mind to let go of those stories, to let go of, like, being so up here, and to just, like, come back towards, like, actually allowing yourself to be fully present, because then that's going to invite, like, this authentic, like, sitting within your heart and asking from a pure space for support or for insight, for clarity, for guidance. And then in that space it could come through more, because there's no more trying to grip onto things, and it's like, okay, like, I'm here, I'm softening and allowing all of the past versions of yourself to even hold you in that moment, to remind you of how strong you were at another time, and how strong, or how much stronger you are now, because you've evolved so much since then. And then for lifting the veil, this is just showing that in preparing to choose what this next archetype is for you, that you are going to work really deeply with in this next season of your life, it's time to question, like, why maybe if there are essences of fear, of shame, of guilt, of anger, of jealousy, of whatever it may be, like, questioning what, like, where is this coming from? Is it yours? Is it from a specific experience? Can you allow for closure? And can you also allow yourself to root more deeply in your truth, so that as you're moving about this next season, there's like, I just feel like there's peace in your heart, and there is this deeper level of awareness of trust, of what it means to work with this natural cycle of life, of allowing things to crumble and fall that no longer are serving the essence of life, of your life, and to invite a new breath into new areas, almost thinking of like this resurrection of life again. And I really keep looking at this Nine of Cups card of really just thinking like, what are the things in your life that fill up each of these cups, and how can you allow yourself to I'm almost feeling this essence of like being proud of like what has been cultivated, and the deep emotional fulfillment that maybe you're not giving yourself like credit for, or like if there have been wins like that you've been experiencing lately, like maybe say you were, I don't know, working on a project and you finally finished it, or maybe you've been trying to get clarity on an idea and it finally came through, like that essence of celebration, right? And the summer solstice is a time to celebrate. It's the longest day of the year. It's the time where we have the most light. It is showing all that has been like brought to the light, right? All this awareness, so that we can invite ourselves in this next cycle, as the light begins to fade a little bit, to not lose that light, to remember it's still there, but to honor that, you know, we came into this experience to be a human being, to honor the like, I'm like, is multiplicity of life, I don't know if that's a word, but like to honor all these different parts, and that the more that you are inviting yourself to tune in to what it is that is present, what it is that is nourishing, and to allow what it is that has already decayed, that it has no life anymore, to be let go of, so it can compost, and you can invite nourishment to that part of yourself, and to hold it with love, but to allow like new things to bloom in a new way. Okay, and then I'm just gonna close out with a little animal spirit message. So let's see if there's any supportive animal spirits that want to come through. And then I will say there was the Knight of Wands, so there is a horse. So maybe a horse or a horse medicine would be something that's supportive. I always think of that being like freedom and a little bit wild, and like I think of confidence, like charging forward, and yeah, indeed. Okay. And then I do want to say, if meditating is your jam, just because the little pyramids were sticking out to me, and the Knight of Wands card, it might be supportive to work with a pyramid shape in your meditations, if that's something that speaks to you. And yeah. Okay. So for the animal spirit cards, we have a lion, which this is really beautiful. And then owl. And cobra. So we have, interestingly enough, we have fire and air. Lion and cobra are fire, elemental spirits, and owl is air. So With Lion coming out, I'm actually like thinking of Leo season, so that could be really like, how do I want to say, really pivotal. And it can also be a time where this archetype becomes more clear to you. And I do want to say, just because I know I've been referencing this, like, this mystery archetype, like, don't let yourself be confined by an archetype though either, because it could be a whole like beautiful array. It doesn't have to be just one, but it could be that maybe you get an invitation from one specific type of archetype to work with, and that opens the door to like new things. But it definitely feels like this is something completely new that's like not in your awareness consciously quite yet, although it might be in subtle ways, but it just hasn't clicked yet. Indeed. So I felt called to say that. But yeah, lion is just like there's that essence of, like I mentioned with the Nine of Cups, like being proud, and like that courage, that strength, and also thinking of leadership too. So if stepping into a more leadership role within your life is something that you have been resonating with, this could be the essence of like, okay, how can you like let drop those that heaviness, to find a deeper level of acceptance. And it's funny, I actually I feel like I typed this in a newsletter I sent out today, and it was just talking about like a personal experience of mine that I moved through recently. And I like I myself had to come to terms of like, I know, I'm like, I guess I can share. I'm sharing. Okay. Um, so my grandfather passed recently, and I was just having to come to terms with, it was interesting. I was grieving, but there was this essence of peace, because there's so many things in my past that really prepared me for that moment, and I was really grateful. Although there were definitely parts of the experience where I did experience anger a little bit, and I even thought at one point, I was like, oh, like the synchronicities that were taking place, I was almost like, wow, this is really cruel. But then I was like, wait, no, how can I reframe that? So thinking of that Page of Swords card, and I allowed myself to gather the wisdom from it, so it really did help a lot. But it was just interesting, because the thing that actually brought me more pain was the awareness of like, sometimes the connections that we're desiring in life, we or anything that we're desiring in life, because this can be much bigger, sorry, not much bigger, but it can correlate to different situations. Sometimes the things that we are deeply desiring, and especially thinking of ways that we're desiring to receive love, um, it can potentially not come from that way that we're really wanting to. But it doesn't mean that we're not worthy of receiving whatever it is. It just means that that love is wanting to come through in a different way. So, in allowing ourselves to loosen that grip, um, and to surrender, so that fall into my arms, then we find, um, healing through that pain, right? We don't have to stay stuck within it. Yes, so I hope that kind of made sense. But yeah, so I think I said something about leadership. So if you're wanting to step into that leadership essence or role within your life, like, it's kind of like just tying the loose ends, closing the final chapters of the books that you didn't realize were still fully open, and finding peace in your heart. And the owl spirit coming out, this can show, especially in the specific oracle deck, it talks about an offering. So maybe if you feel called to give an offering, it could be to the land, to your ancestors, in whatever way you feel called. But it also talks about you being rewarded with something. So, and also, in just thinking of the story that I had just shared, the owl deals with wisdom, right? So it's this deeper embodiment and understanding of the wisdom that you hold in your own light. So connecting with the owl spirit, if that's something that you're wanting to embrace more of in your life. And then cobra is actually kind of a teacher essence in this oracle deck. So, and two, it's just making me think of the snake and I always forget what the snake is with that like eats its tail. It's making me think of that. So this is kind of just thinking of the cyclical nature of life. And I mean, that's what Illuminating Crossroads is all about. When we think of all these cycles and these seasons, the more and more we befriend these cycles and seasons and we learn from them, we allow these different moments in our life to be medicine, to be wisdom, to be our teacher. We find that we're able to digest things a bit more because we can allow ourselves to kind of take this more mature outlook. I don't want to say more mature outlook, but this more kind of like that bird's eye view, and also thinking of the spiritual maturity that takes place once we go through different initiations or experiences, if you will, in life. So, and this could also show that, like, if you are finding that you're having some challenges right now of just navigating whatever is happening in your own soul journey, it might be supportive to find a mentor or a teacher to support you along your journey, and just like trusting like what is it that you're desiring, and I don't want to say needing, but maybe needing, wanting, and knowing that like that's okay, and to not feel guilty if like you have to phone a friend, because like it's okay. We're all like moving through different things, and sometimes we need support to move through what it is that we're going through, because that like in that gift of knowing that like, hey, I need a friend, or like I need a walk. I need nourishment. That in itself kind of like makes you a really good leader, because it allows for authenticity and honesty as well. So yay, awesome. I did not know what this reading was gonna be, and honestly I was kind of like avoiding recording this video. But I'm so glad that I did record it, and I do hope if you made it all the way to the end, thank you so much for like listening to the messages. I really hope that you received something from it. And if you did, or you had any thoughts, or if you want to share anything, I love reading other like people's experiences, so I would love to hear your experience, and offer some words of support or encouragement if I'm able to. So please feel free to leave a comment down below, and then you can join the Illuminating Crossroads if this is kind of your vibe of just receiving some support along your journey. And I talk about astrology stuff, and I offer some like sound healing journeys to support with just alchemizing different energies, but everything has the intention to empower you to step back into being a sovereign, empowered being, and to move with clarity and from the heart and all that good jazz. So yes, and then I'm not sure when I'm posting this, but I do offer seasonal journeys. The offering is Kaleidoscope, birthed from a lot of contemplation in my life and a lot of different ceremonies of just sitting with different archetypes or medicines, if you will. So all that information is down below in the description, and I do offer one-on-one sessions as well if you're looking for a little bit more of an intimate support system as you navigate your journey. So with all that being said, thank you so much. We'll just close out this reading with divine love, light, and truth. And until next time, take care. Bye.